when you first received the script for Surveillance, I know that you had interaction with Jennifer throughout the years, but what were your first impressions when you saw the script?
Well, she has, as she tells the world, I turned her down first, but I there was a period like a year before we did the movie where she had sent me the script, and I loved her and known her for a long time and really wanted to do it, but I didn't, it was a violent movie that I didn't hear her voice in it, at that point, and I don't know whether it was me or her, but, I think she did do some more work on it, and when I read it the second time, and I was really glad to suddenly see it all from her perspective, and I could hear her voice in the lines and the dialogue and things, and I went on board.
And so, in your estimation, what is her voice?
Well, it's this incredible, cheeky sense of humor in these most horrific moments of human behavior. And I think she has this kind of curious ability to, not go to like just moralistic judgment of human behavior, but to kind of celebrate it, the most its aberrance, and as a way of kind of acknowledging who we are and getting to the truth of who we are.
Yeah. We talked to her Jennifer last week, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to be the millionth and first person to ask you this, but obviously you've worked with both Jennifer and her father, David, and I would think that Jennifer might be a bit more communicative in terms of the context of the scene, but I would think also that they both allow you an incredible amount of freedom as an actor, too.
Well, yeah, I think Jennifer definitely is, comes out of a much more psychological orientation than David's more like a dream-oriented, imagistic. He comes from the, an art program, and Jennifer's always seems to have come through more psychological storytelling. So there is a lot more that Jennifer will say, but David's very communicative in his own unique way, and but I think they both have a great sense of joy on the set, and when you're working on the movies, you feel like you've got the best job in the world.
Yeah. And what was the particular challenge of, you've done so many kinds of roles, and I'm wondering, this role in Surveillance, what did you find particularly challenging?
Well, we had to shoot fast, and there's a lot of things that were, where we got into the room to actually shoot that had to just be there, and you had to stay incredibly focused during those periods, and I think also to surrender to this thing that happened. But once you got on board, once I really, Jennifer really was allowing Julia and I to see this incredible amount of swagger and joy, and that was, once we got on it, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard to get to.
But you've done both bigger budgeted films, obviously, and the indie films such as this one. And you've spoken a little bit to this just now, but does that affect your acting style? Is it particularly freeing to be in a lower budgeted film in some ways?
Well, there's a lot in lower budget movies. You never know what the heck is going to come out, whether you ever see it or what will happen. The process of doing it is quite enjoyable, usually. I mean, sometimes the conditions are extreme, but, with a sort of a more studio budgeted movie, there's the good and the bad of having a lot of hands on board. One is that they're going to edit the crap out of the thing and maximize everything they can, and the possibility the movie is going to get seen is more likely, which has got its own gratitude, not to be dismissed. I don't think that necessarily, they both are important. In these times it's harder and harder to get independent movies, out there, or get some kind of consensus where people are buying them and that kind of thing. But I think they both are important, you know.
Yeah, very important. And with this film, it's obvious that she has a very unique voice. And I was telling Julia earlier that I'm just so thankful for movies that I haven't seen before that surprise me.
Oh, good. Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think she does have, this kind of surprising way of activating actors that I think everybody in the movie shares this kind of bizarre style of bravura style acting, but very truthful, authentic, but every actor acts like they're the balls, and it's kind of you realize it's not often where you get to see that kind of thing where everybody is not just doing a nice representational job of characters, but I mean actually has a lot of swagger, and they're all competing with each other in this way.
Yeah, and the world of the film is conducive to that. It's all part of the fabric of the movie too. When you saw it, did the finished product, having gone through the process of giving birth to it, what surprised you about it?
Well, it's disturbing. And I was, really, sometimes, they're a joy to watch, and sometimes they're, it's really disturbing. And I know there's a lot of humor in it, and I laughed a few times, and uncomfortably, but then it's not, something that you come across that often. So it's it stays with you, and I keep thinking about it, and it's one of those where the images come back, and it's surprisingly simple context, but in a way, the way that the story unravels and the puzzles it asks about the people and who they are and what their motives are, you keep pondering it.
Yeah, you sure do. With the I'm wondering, we spoke with Jennifer last week, and she said that she took a hiatus, obviously, between her debut film and this one, and she felt like she deepened and matured a lot as an artist in that time. And I'm curious from you, when you started out in the acting profession till now, how do you think the main ways are that you've matured and the process has deepened for you?
Well, I've been lucky to keep doing a lot of variety of different things, and I think the idea of what you can accomplish simply has taken on more power. I think there's a certain kind of zenness that comes into it where you realize you've got to really be like even with this character, which is not necessarily an orthodox character, but it can really simplify a few things and manifest them completely. It's better than trying to, I think I used to spend a lot of time doing, very complicated sets of things, and whereas now sometimes they can put together one notion that Jennifer says with one rock and roll riff, and I'm off and running,
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's efficiency in a way.
Yeah, that's probably it, yeah.
This is exciting to me. Before I let you go, I got to ask you about this. If I'm not mistaken here, you're doing Oleanna?
Yes.
That is terrific.
Yes, we're doing Julia Stiles and I am here at the Taper in L.A., and it's pretty good that we're going to go to New York in the fall. So.
Oh, wow. Have you done much Mamet before?
No, I never have done it. So it's that part of it. I had done a couple of Edward Albee plays, and had that, but I hadn't really done this. And I often wondered whether I'd get caught in that snare that sometimes happens, where the stuff becomes a little too mannered, or the language doesn't sound organic. But I think we've pushed past that, and trying to look at this play, which had been last done in New York in the 92, 93, and it's been gratifying to get notices that suggest people are looking at it from a different perspective now.
It's a terrific play, and like all Mamet, it's very specific for the actor. Did you feel at all that it was constrictive at all, that dialogue?
Well, yeah, there's certain, kind of they're both incredibly become verbal in ways that are part of what they mask themselves with. So there's a use of language that's different than in other kinds of things so you have an incredibly dense syntax, or you get a lot of self-editing where they'll start a sentence, shift to another sentence, shift to another sentence, as they're trying to negotiate with each other. So you really gotta get a certain technical ability with all of that before you can then start to manifest all the other stuff that's going on underneath it.